Nothing lasts forever. Even the longest, the most glittering rain must come to an end someday.
Could replace her. Plenty of contenders, old warriors, young pretenders. Lord Bilsborough, say, party chairman. Too old and too familiar, tainted by 1,000 shabby deals. Michael Samuels, too young and too clever. Patrick Woolton, bit of a lout, bit of a bully boy. Yes, it could well be Woolton. Henry Collingridge, the people's favorite. A well-meaning fool, no background and no bottom. What, me? Oh, no, no, no. I'm the chief whip, merely a functionary. I keep the troops in line. I put a bit of stick about. I make them jump. And I shall, of course, give my absolute loyalty to whoever emerges as my leader. You'll have to excuse me now.
Henry Collingridge is Britain's new Prime Minister. Today, Henry Collingridge emerged as the popular choice to lead his party as Prime Minister in the forthcoming general election. Mr. Collingridge, who's 48 years old, has served as Minister for the Environment and Minister for Inner City Growth, and has often been described as the acceptable face of capitalism.
Well, let's see how he does.
Throughout the span of this government, we have transformed this country beyond all recognition. We are now a nation of property owners, a nation of shareholders, a proud nation of men and women who know how to get off their backsides and help themselves. We have achieved all that we set out to achieve. Now is the time when we can afford to share our hard-won gains with those less successful than ourselves. Now, let our watchword be this. Let's find the right way for all of our people to come together.
Bloody nonsense. All come together sounds like a motto of a knocking shop in Marrakesh.
Dear old Patrick. Knocking shop in Marrakesh. Very wide of the mark. Our esteemed new leader wouldn't know a knocking shop if he saw one. His morality is strictly backstreet Sunday school hypocritical cant picked up in Peterborough or Rugeley or some such god-awful place. Not that one holds that against him, of course. Though we certainly started something when we let fellows like that climb up the greasy pole. Good boy. My own background, as you see, is somewhat different. But privilege carries responsibility. I am a loyal servant of the state, and proud to be so. Besides, I may not think highly of Henry Collingridge, but I believe he thinks highly of me. I have hopes of high office, I must confess, and have been promised as much by the man himself. But first things first, we have a general election to win.
Good evening, and welcome to Election Special. The polling stations have just closed, and we have a long night ahead of us. But early indications are that the government will be returned, but with a substantially reduced majority.
Ghastly people.
Our people.
What was that frightful woman talking about?
She wanted to smack a firm government.
She wanted you to smack her bottom. I could see that much from across the room. What is Collingridge going to do for you?
I don't know. Perhaps nothing. My God, I've done enough for him.
More than he deserves.
That woman said she thought I should be Prime Minister. Glamis and Cawdor and King hereafter.
I think that you should be Prime Minister. You're twice the man Collingridge is, or ever will be.
Well, yes, my wife is very loyal. A politician needs a wife, and other people too, regrettably. A man of state needs helpers, little elves and sprites to do his bidding.
Even unwitting pawns who don't know who they serve. Roger O'Neill, the party's publicity director. Lord Bilsborough's right-hand man.
Jesus, Roger.
How did you catch that sidestep? Wasn't that magical? I had Phil Bennett with that once at Lansdowne Road.
Open the window, will you, Rog? Where were you, anyway?
Picking something up. Something to celebrate with.
Has his little weaknesses. Very warm nature. Very human. But I don't mind that. They make him more... They make him easier to deal with. And of course, one needs a sympathetic ear amongst the ladies and gentlemen of the press, those valiant seekers after truth.
And as we wait to go over to Torbay for the first result, let's see what the countrywide swing would look like if our exit poll is correct. Now, an overall majority of 31 seats would mean that the political map of Great Britain would look something like this.
Jesus. What are they playing at? We backed those bastards all the way. Why can't they deliver?
No one's saying they're going to lose, Greville.
Going in with a majority of 100 and losing 70-odd seats isn't exactly a vote of bloody confidence, is it? And never a word of it in the polls. Nobody forecast this one. Nobody.
Greville, I've been trying to tell you for 2 days it's going to be closer than the polls said. They're just not coming out for Collingridge. I told you that.
Oh, thank you very much, Matty. That's extremely helpful at this juncture. What are we going to do now? I mean, Christ, look at that. Home and dry. Home and bloody dry. Brilliant. And who wrote that little bit of nonsense?
I thought you did, Greville.
It was dictated to me over the phone by our proprietor, Mr. Benjamin Landless. Well, even he wouldn't want the late edition to go out looking like that. Matty, any thoughts?
Government majority slashed. Back in by a whisker. I'm still standing, but only just.
Look, it's your job on the bloody line as well, you know.
Greville, we can afford to wait a bit. It's only 20 minutes till the first result.
Don't worry, I'll be back in just a sec. Come here, you. Jeremy is scared shitless.
Well, I told him to be close.
And I've told him that we're going to get our analysis out first, showing how his ads zap the target voters in every category.
Right. So if we win, headquarters will know they owe it all to us. And if we lose...
If we lose, everyone will say we ran the best campaign ever, and it was just the lousy politicians that blew it. Rog, are you okay?
Bloody hay fever. Fine. Fine. Never better. Oh, Lord, I think this is it.
Mary Aloysius Alabaster.
Happy Sunshine Party.
43 votes. Catherine Ann Cowlson.
Labour.
16,314. George Timothy Granville Green.
Conservative.
23,789.
That's 23,000.
Elsewhere,
8% swing. Majority of 30 or so, just what they forecast on the exit poll. We're going to be all right. We've just about saved our bacon.
Well done, Roger. Well done indeed. If that doesn't get you a knighthood, I don't know what will. Beg your pardon, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Have you met my assistant, Penny Guy?
Delighted. So you assist young Roger, do you? Tell me, what exactly do you assist him with?
Oh, just about anything at all, actually.
I say.
Shall I, about 15 minutes?
Right. Bye.
You don't by any chance have an arrangement for leasing her out, do you?
Excuse me, sir.
It's all right, Constable. My name is Charles Collingridge, and here is my membership card.
I'm sorry, sir.
It's all right, Constable. Ah, Teddy, I've got myself into a bit of a pickle here. Come on, Charles.
I'm sorry. Good evening, sir. The Prime Minister's expected in 5 minutes.
Well, boys, we're back. Well done. Lord, they're all here. Teddy, is it all right for a chap to come and drink his brother's health?
Absolutely, Charles. We're delighted to see you.
Where's Hal?
He's on his way, Charles. He'll soon be here.
How? It could have been worse.
Mr. O'Neill! Mr. O'Neill! Who is it? The Prime Minister's office. I can't hear you. It's the Prime Minister for you, Mr. O'Neill. Hello? Yes, this is Roger O'Neill. Thank you. Just putting me through. Prime Minister! Many, many congratulations, and how very good of you it is to call.
And then I'd like to lick it all off. Very, very slowly.
Oh, thank you very much, Prime Minister. Thank you very much indeed. I know that'll be very much appreciated.
And did I say that all of this would be taking place in the 5th year dorm at Benenden?
Prime Minister, I'm overwhelmed. May I tell him that? The Prime Minister just wants me to thank you on his behalf for running such a fabulous campaign. And he says he's not going to ask for his money back.
Thank you, Bertie.
Well done, Michael.
Thanks, Lucy.
Isn't he lovely?
Many congratulations, Michael. Thank you, Francis.
So sorry. Please let me get you another one.
Charles Collingridge. It's all right. I've asked Francis Urquhart to keep an eye on him.
Urquhart? Hardly see him as one of nature's nursemaids.
I'm not so sure, Michael. He's got a good heart as Francis, but he won't stand for any bloody nonsense. Ideal nursemaid, in my opinion.
He's a bore.
Damn good thing, too. Dull dog, but sound as a bell.
I get the strong impression he doesn't care much for me.
Well, you're younger than he is. You're clever and you make no effort to hide it. You're better looking than he is.
And I'm Jewish.
Well, quite. But the odd thing about Francis Urquhart is he'd never stab you in the back, however much he disliked you. Not many left like Urquhart. Dying breed, more's the pity.
Teddy.
Ah,
he's here.
Right. You coming down?
I'll wait up here.
Thank you all so much. You've been magnificent. Thank you.
How's it looking, Teddy? 24, possibly 25.
How does that?
It's a majority.
5 more years, Henry.
Yes, there is that.
Francis! Welcome back, Prime Minister, if I may say so. Following our conversation last week, I've had one or two thoughts about the new cabinet.
I'm sure you have, Francis. I'm sure you have. Good man. Put them down on paper, would you? And come round first thing in the morning.
My pleasure, Prime Minister.
Al! It's me!
Oh, God, Charlie, not tonight.
Don't worry, Henry. I'll look after him. Charlie! I've been hoping for a word all night.
Francis Urquhart, my dear old friend.
Do you know what I feel like doing, Charlie?
Getting rat-arsed.
Exactly. Come on. I know a good place round the corner.
Splendid. Two good chaps getting rat-arsed together.
Surprised? Well, everybody can be valuable. That's my philosophy. I hope you had a little bet on the winning team. You understand, I really
Are you
can't.
here just to advise on the new cabinet, Mr. Urquhart, or is there a job in it for you?
I advise the Prime Minister on many matters, as you know, and my advice is confidential.
The word is that you're in line for a very senior cabinet position. Is that so?
Now, you can't expect me to comment on rumors, nor to keep my Prime Minister waiting. Thank you very much, gentlemen, ladies.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Chief Whip. He's ready for you now. If you'd like to come up to the study.
Thank you. Prime Minister. Teddy, didn't realize you'd be here.
Pull up a chair, Francis. Now, I've had a careful look at this memorandum of yours. You're proposing a very radical change. I'd like you to tell me why.
Well,
just in general terms.
All right. We have been in power longer than any party since the war. It's a new kind of challenge. We need to show that we are not stagnating, that we are capable of self-renewal. Your own succession to the leadership, Prime Minister, is a very good example of the sort of thing I mean.
And now you want to see a great deal more of that sort of thing.
Well, I think we've had a pretty clear indication from the country that people are looking for some kind of change.
You think so? The new names you put forward here, none of them could be described as being on the liberal wing of the party. Wouldn't you agree, Francis?
No one from the radical right either. They're all good, sound men, Prime Minister.
Good, sound men from the shires. Guaranteed to do what they're told.
I'd rather say that they're all men who have been bred and educated in a tradition of public service and have proved their reliability over long years.
Well, yes, that is another way of putting it. And I see you're offering your own services in high office.
You will remember, Prime Minister, that some months ago we talked about the possibility that after the election there might be a senior ministerial post.
Yes, I do remember that. Things do change so very quickly in politics, don't they, Francis? I'm very grateful indeed for your suggestions, but I have to tell you now that we disagree with you entirely. Do you remember Macmillan, the Night of the Long Knives? He sacked a third of his cabinet and destroyed his government in the process. He was out within the year, Francis. Now, here is what I have in mind. As you see, no cabinet changes at all. I'm sure it'll be seen for what it is, a sign of strength and sureness of purpose.
Well, I hope the parliamentary party will see it in that way.
I rather count on you to press it home to them, Francis, as Chief Whip. I do assume I have your full support.
Of course, Prime Minister, that goes without saying.
Good. I want you to know that I still regard you as a candidate for the highest office, but you are also the strongest and most deeply respected chief whip this party has had, I think I may say, since the war. With such a slender majority in the House, a good chief whip is more important to me than a good Home Secretary.
You are too kind, Prime Minister. Much too kind. Nothing. Nothing. Not a damn thing. And then he had the gall to say that he counted on my support. He said his fate was in my hands, Elizabeth. Melodramatic twaddle.
Is it?
What?
Isn't there some truth in it? Isn't his fate in your hands?
No, no, no. I'm in charge of discipline. But I can't deliver if my troops are disaffected.
But aren't they disaffected now? His weakness, his refusal to take responsibility for firm leadership, it's going to bring this government down sooner or later.
Yes. And sooner rather than later, in my view.
Unless he were to relinquish the leadership.
He won't do that.
Unless a better man were to take the leadership from him.
Have you any idea what that would involve?
No. But I would imagine that you have a very good idea, Francis. And I know that you're capable of doing whatever is necessary.
We're not expecting anyone, are we?
No.
I'll go.
Mr. Urquhart, Mattie Starr in the Chronicle. I'm sorry to disturb you at home, but I've been trying to contact you all day. I really would appreciate some help in understanding the thinking behind this really surprising announcement that there aren't going to be any cabinet changes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but I have no comment to make.
Mr. Urquhart, that's a great story, but I don't think you'd like us to run it.
I beg your pardon. What story?
Late last night, there were telltale signs of deep division in the highest party circles. Francis Urquhart, the chief whip, who has been denied promotion once again, refused to comment on or defend the Prime Minister's decision.
I know you, don't I? Aren't you the new girl Greville Preston took on when they pensioned off old Cecil Roach?
I'm the newish political correspondent on the Chronicle, Mr. Urquhart.
Ah, yes. Quite. Do come inside, Miss Story. Oh, let me take your coat.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mrs. Urquhart.
Miss Storin, a journalist. We'll talk in my study, Elizabeth, then you won't be disturbed. My wife likes to listen to Wagner in the evenings, Miss Storin. Do come in. Would you like a drink?
I'll have whatever you're having.
Whiskey, all right?
Thank you.
Brugh Claddock, if you know your malts.
Thank you.
Do sit down. Well, now.
Mr. Urquhart, in my piece tomorrow, I'll faithfully record your public loyalty to the Prime Minister and your defense of his actions. Or in this case, lack of actions. But I want to understand what people are really thinking. I want to know what you really feel. And I think you'd like to talk to me in confidence on lobby terms.
And what makes you think that?
You didn't have to let me in. You could have phoned Greville Preston and complained about my outrageous harassment and threatened him with this and that, and he'd have listened. Because one thing everyone knows is that threats from Francis Urquhart are not idle threats.
Good.
And if I were to betray your confidence, you could have me not just sacked, but unemployable within the week.
I'm going to confide in you, am I?
I hope so. Everyone I talk to says Francis Urquhart could tell you the answer to that one, but he won't. Well, at this stage in my career, I need to understand much more than I need scoop headlines. I need a friend in high places, Mr. Urquhart. And I think you'd like to talk to someone like me. And nobody knows I'm here tonight. And nobody will.
Perhaps you'd like to ask me questions, Miss Storin.
Matty, please.
Yes, Matty.
There really is a lot of rivalry and dissent within the cabinet, isn't there?
Some elements of the party, some elements in the cabinet, are deeply distressed. They don't think the PM has what it takes for a full 5-year term or anywhere near it. They see another leadership crisis looming, and the more ambitious of them want to be well placed when it comes. They're not thinking about the good of the party anymore, much less the good of the country. They're thinking about the next leadership race.
And one might say the same about the Prime Minister. That he's thinking about his own survival, not the good of the country.
You might say that. I couldn't possibly say that. And if one word of this is linked with my
I am
name...
a lobby correspondent, Mr. Urquhart. Don't worry. It'll be senior members of the party and sources close to the Prime Minister.
Good. Very good.
Could I ask you why you've decided to talk to me? You don't usually give interviews at all, do you?
Let's say you turned up at the right time. No, that's not fair. Things need to be aired publicly. I've read your stuff. It's very good. I think I can trust you to be fair and honest. Perhaps you haven't been here long enough to be corrupted.
Well, thank you. I hope I never will be. Could I ask you, if the Prime Minister is experiencing discord in the cabinet, wouldn't his best move be to sack the dissidents? Get in some new people and some fresh new policies?
You might think so, Matty, but in all fairness, it isn't so easy. He's not absolutely certain where the danger lies, for one thing, and a sudden flurry of changes might look like panic. That's the official view.
But you don't agree with it?
Of course I agree with it, Matty. I have to agree with it. You, on the other hand, might feel that if you were the captain of the Titanic, you wouldn't be saying, steady as she goes.
Who should he? I don't know how to put this in a way that you'll be able to answer.
Try.
If I were captain of the Titanic, which of my senior officers should I be worried about?
Beware of an old man in a hurry. Have you heard that phrase, Matty?
Lord Bilsborough. But he's Collingridge's closest advisor. Surely he can't still think he could be party leader, not at his age, not from the Lords.
So?
He doesn't want it for himself. He wants to pull the strings. He wants the party leadership for one of his protégés.
You might think that. I couldn't possibly comment.
Michael Samuels.
You might think that.
Lord Bilsborough is setting up Collingridge as an Aunt Sally so that Michael Samuels can take his place when the time comes.
You might think that. I couldn't possibly comment.
And how do you feel about all this?
Oh, I'm just the chief whip, Matty. My personal feelings are neither here nor there. I look after morale and discipline amongst the backbenchers, keep them up to the mark, listen to their problems, help them out when I can, administer some sharp kicks up the backside when that seems indicated.
Just like a prefect, head of house sort of thing. I'm sorry, that sounds very cheeky.
Not at all. That's exactly what it's like.
Everyone says you're very good at it.
I believe I am, Matty. I believe I am.
Thank you so much for being so generous with your time. I really appreciate it.
Not at all.
Well?
Interesting girl. Clever.
Not too clever.
No. Just clever enough, I should say.
I think she might be just the little friend you need, Francis. A political correspondent with her way to make, I mean.
No, Prime Minister. I haven't seen the papers yet. Yes,
There was speculation last night that the Prime Minister was unlikely to fight another election, and that some senior ministers were already manoeuvring for position in the event of an early leadership struggle.
It's all very insubstantial, Prime Minister. Someone's flying a kite.
Someone's bloody well making mischief, Francis. Listen to this. Lord Bilsborough, the party chairman, dismissed as nonsense any suggestion of a leadership election in the offing. However, the position of the party chairman will be crucial during a leadership race, and Bilsborough is known to be very close to Michael Samuels, the Environment Secretary, who could be one of the contenders. Damn it, Francis, this is the Chronicle. They're supposed to be our people.
Yes, you're quite right. Will you leave this with me, Henry? I'll get on to Greville Preston and find out who's been telling tales out of class. And if we don't get any joy there, we'll go straight to Ben Landless. You're absolutely right. We don't need this from the Chronicle. Leave it with me. I'll put a bit of stick about.
Thank you, Francis. And Francis, I'm really very grateful for your support.
Not at all. Goodbye. Now then, Mr. Stoat. You seem to have got yourself into a bit of a mess, and you haven't done a lot for the image of the party either, have you?
No. No, Chief Whip. I'd like to say how terribly sorry I am.
You should have thought of that before. Can we do anything for him, Stamper?
Not easy, Chief Whip. I've talked to the sergeant, and he's understandably reluctant to believe our friend here stopped his car to ask the way to his own bloody constituency.
Dear God.
I'm really
Do
awfully...
shut up, Stoat.
Sorry?
However, I did eventually persuade him to stretch a point. He won't be proceeding.
Really? Oh, my God. I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am.
All right, Stoat, you've been lucky. Heard something else funny about you the other day. Heard you were thinking of abstaining on the second reading of the Environment Bill.
What?
Don't.
No. No, of course not.
All right, Stoat, take yourself off and try not to be such a damn fool. And if you must use whores, for God's sake, go to a decent knocking shop where they understand the meaning of discretion. Stamper will give you a list if you don't know any yourself.
Yes, right. Thank you very much. I'm so very... I mean, if ever there's anything at all, I can...
Yes. Off you go now.
Goodbye. And, well, thanks again.
What a frightful little man. Where do they find them these days?
God knows. If I had a dog like that, I'd shoot it.
Well, yes, quite.
Roger O'Neill's in the outer office.
Oh, yes. I think I'll make this one a private chat, Stamper.
Whatever you say. Roger? Good to see you. Looking fit. Let's do squash sometime.
I like that very much.
Roger!
Good morning to you, Francis.
Well, I'll be on my way.
Yes, all right. Have a seat, Roger. Good of you to come in. Drink?
Well, it's a bit early in the morning for me, but... Well, if you're offering...
Whiskey?
Ah, sure, why not?
Wanted to thank you for the good job you did for the party in the run-up to the election. There were one or two who wanted to make you a scapegoat, but I'd have none of that, and neither would the PM.
Good God, I hadn't realized anyone was blaming me. You're not having one yourself?
It is a bit early in the day for me. You've been a bit of a bad lad, haven't you, Roger?
What?
You've had your hand in the till.
Francis, you're joking.
Your expenses are paid by central office, aren't they? But you've been claiming quite large sums from the advertising agency as well. It's a bit naughty, Roger.
How's that? It's perfectly simple, Francis. The accounting at Smith Square is so slow. If I'd been buying a few lunches, I could wait months to get my money back. It's so much simpler to get it from the agency, don't you see? I've never taken a single penny in expenses that wasn't absolutely legitimate, Francis. Not a single penny. And I swear that to you on my mother's grave.
£22,370 in the last 10 months, I make it. Here we are. Have a look at the figures. Might be slightly out, but not by more than a tenner or so. Bit steep for a few lunches, wouldn't you say?
It's awesome.
Cocaine's awfully expensive stuff, isn't it? Is it worth it? They say it makes a good man brilliant. If that's so, you must be a genius.
Francis, you must believe me. I haven't got a problem. I'm not addicted. I just use it occasionally for recreational purposes and now and then when I have to work late.
I understand, Roger, but there are not many who would, are there? And I know this sounds old-fashioned, but isn't it illegal?
What are you going to do?
Well, I know what we should do. Write off the money as a bad debt and toss you overboard. But I suppose I must have a soft spot for you. I'm going to bail you out, Roger. I'm going to save your bacon. And in return, I want your absolute, unquestioning loyalty.
Yes. Yes, of course.
To me personally, not to the chairman. I need someone I can trust to keep an eye on things and help out in general.
Anything, Francis. Anything at all.
All right, Roger. Now listen to me very carefully.
Why are we consorting with socialists tonight? Isn't that against the rules or something?
Oh, not a bit of it. Steve Kendrick's not a bad skin. We used to work together years ago. He's going to be very pleased with me tonight.
Bit of a flash kid, don't you think? Fancies himself.
Fancies you too?
Oh, everybody fancies me, except you.
Here he comes. Teeth and tits.
One for you, and one for you.
And I rather gather you've got something for me. Yes. How do you fancy being the star of Prime Minister's Question Time?
Mr. Kendrick!
Number 6, sir. I refer the honourable member to the reply I gave some moments ago.
Mr. Kendrick!
Will the Prime Minister explain to the House why he is not going ahead with the promised hospital expansion programme? I note the honourable member's creditable concern with the health service and would remind him that under this government, the health service has enjoyed an annual increase of 7%. 7% in real terms. Furthermore, the health service has benefited more than any other government service from our determination to reduce inflation and to operate in a sensible and cost-efficient way.
Answer the question.
That is what I'm doing. This government has made a commitment to expand the hospital building program. It is not this government's practice to discuss the specifics. It is not this government's practice to discuss the specifics of new spending plans in terms of precise dates.
It is the old story, the same old story.
Order! Order!
I refuse order.
Order!
I am not prepared. I'm not prepared. I refuse to
Order! Order!
How in Christ's name that little bastard Kendrick know? The cabinet didn't hear about it until this morning.
That wouldn't have given him time. It must have leaked out of yesterday's cabinet committee meeting.
Peter Mackenzie was very upset about the cuts.
Well, he would be as health minister, but I don't think he would have leaked to an opposition MP.
Then who did, Francis? I want him found. I want an example made of the bastard.
I think it was someone who wanted to make things difficult for you personally. That's why it was leaked to Kendrick rather than the press. I think we have to face the fact that it may be someone very close to you, Prime Minister. Someone you've always trusted and who now wants to break you.
Henry, I've just heard. I came straight over.
Later, Teddy. If you'd be so good. I just have to chew over a few things with Francis here.
Yes. Yes, of course. I'll come back later then. Those of us who care for the nation's defense have been astonished to hear that confidential documents have been left in a public house.
from whence they have rather less surprisingly found their way into the pages of the Independent newspaper. We have been gravely alarmed to read in these documents of huge, unnecessary, and positively dangerous cuts in the Territorial Army establishment. Does the Prime Minister understand the damage that will be done to the government support over the coming months? Will the Leader of the House allow time to debate and to reverse this decision?
I would remind my right honourable friend that to discuss the contents of the stolen document is tantamount to condoning an act of common theft.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Sir Jasper Granger.
Would you not agree, Mr. Speaker, that not to discuss the content of this stolen document would be a breach of faith, a betrayal by the government of its most loyal supporters?
Mr. Speaker, my right honourable friends and I have listened carefully to the mood of the House. In the light of representations put from all sides today, the government, which has always prided itself on being a listening government, the government will temporarily rescind the cuts.
Resign,
while it takes a further look at the whole question.
Could you spare me a few seconds, please?
Ah, Miss Mattie Storian. Yes, I think I could find you a few seconds. Let's go over there. I've been following your work with interest. So has the Prime Minister, though he's not quite such an admirer.
He had a terrible day today.
Not unknown for a Prime Minister to change his mind, though we're not often privileged to see him do it in public, eh? Well, it'll all blow over, I dare say.
Will it? 2 major leaks in less than a month. Where are they from?
I don't know, my dear. I'm responsible for the backbenchers, not the cabinet. Though I dare say I'll be asked to find out.
The leaks are coming out of the cabinet. And the Prime Minister is ordering an investigation into his own closest colleagues.
You might think that. I couldn't possibly comment.
Thank you.
All right, don't tell me about it. Do something about it. That is exactly what is wrong with this goddamn country. Everyone wants to give you their analysis of what's wrong and why nothing ever goddamn works. Nobody wants to get off their butt and make the goddamn thing work. London, Jesus, I'd rather run a business in the Solomon Islands.
Thoughts of a newspaper proprietor.
You may be right. Oh, God.
What's she working on?
It's the thing about the leaks. Urquhart's leading the witch hunt. I do think he has a sort of, I don't know, magnetism about him.
Kissinger syndrome. The aphrodisiac effect of power.
I guess that must be it.
Not much chance for the likes of me, then. Women don't exactly tremble at the naked, unbridled domination of the deputy editor.
Well, no. You have got a nice face, though.
I don't know what's the matter with him, Francis. I feel he's not listening. As though he doesn't trust me anymore.
He owes it all to you, Teddy. Surely he recognizes that. But I know what you mean. I don't think he trusts any of us anymore.
It's very distressing, Francis. How can we help the man when he won't let us help him?
Well, I'll continue to put the fear of God into the troops as long as I can. But there comes a time, we're nowhere near it yet, of course.
Yes, quite. Yeah. You will keep me informed, won't you, Francis? Now more than ever, he needs wise counsel.
Of course I will, Teddy. Goodbye now. I think Lord Bilsborough's starting to lose touch a bit.
Shame. Used to be a hell of an operator in his day. Well, work to do.
Well, yes, a couple of leaks are all very well, but it takes more than that. A big scandal, perhaps. A political scandal. Or a scandal about something people really understand. Sex. Or money.
£50,000, Mr. Urquhart.
It's a very generous donation, Mr. Jobwaller. We don't often see such large sums in cash.
I'm a little old-fashioned, Mr. Urquhart. I prefer to trust cash rather than cashiers.
And, strictly speaking, you should hand it to the party treasurer, not to me.
Oh, but you are my member of parliament, Mr. Urquhart. I know you. I trust you. Oh, I'm sure the party treasurer is an excellent man. But you, Mr. Urquhart, you are my friend.
Well, I'm very touched.
And no, I hope to gain nothing except my wife and I would be thrilled to meet the Prime Minister if he should ever visit the constituency.
I'm sure that can be arranged.
Accommodation address, 3-month payment in advance. That's fine. So you're working round here now, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
And the name is?
Collingridge, C. Collingridge.
Right. I might look you up myself one of these days. Do you specialise at all, like?
Yeah, verbal abuse and colonic irrigation.
Oh.
Bye, then.
Bye.
Nasty little man.
It was all right, though.
Yeah, I suppose so. Why couldn't Charlie Collingridge do it himself? I mean, it's a bit of a waste of money paying me 18 grand to run errands, isn't it? Come on, I'm supposed to be the brains of this outfit.
You are. You are, I swear it.
Well, what's he want it for anyway? Don't tell me he's going on the game.
Hardly. PM's brother needs to be careful. Sure, I don't know what he wants it for. Spanking mags, for all I know.
Using his real name?
Well, ours is not a reason why. We're doing a special favor. The request comes from the very top, and we don't breathe a word to a soul, all right?
Right.
You wish to open the account with?
£50,000.
Excellent.
In cash.
Excellent. A high-interest current account, sir?
Well, no, I shan't need to draw on it immediately. Could I purchase some shares through you?
But of course, it would be a pleasure.
Mendox Chemicals. 20,000. You should be able to get them for about 240 pence. I'm rather pressed for time. Could I leave that with you?
We should be able to confirm it for you by 4 this afternoon, sir.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Not at all, Mr. Collingridge. It's a pleasure.
Junior Minister of Health, Mrs. Makepeace.
With permission, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a statement. The Department of Health, on the advice of the Chief Medical Officer, has today licensed 3 new drugs for general use. Cybernox, manufactured by Mendox Chemical Company, with general application in the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis and related diseases.
Charles Collingridge here. You were kind enough to open an account for me last week. I'm afraid I've had to alter my plans entirely. The negotiations on the hotel in Turkey have fallen through, and I'm flying back to Kenya at the end of the week. Well, can't be helped. Had a bit of luck with those Mendoc shares, though. Should clear 9 or 10,000 on them. Can you sell those today at anything over 295? And I'll come in tomorrow morning to close the account. Can you send a closing statement to my London address? Charles Collingridge, 216 Praed Street, W2. Thank you very much for all your help. Goodbye.
Not working this morning, Francis?
Oh, yes, Elizabeth. I am working. I'm working very well, as a matter of fact. Very good of you to come in, Humphrey. I couldn't really get away, and I didn't feel comfortable holding all this money.
50,000? What's he hoping to get out of it?
5 minutes alone with the PM, he says.
Bit more than the going rate, isn't it?
Well, I'll write to Mr. Chapwalder today. Chaps like him should be encouraged.
Yes, indeed.
And I'll see the PM is informed. About time he heard a bit of good news.
Mr. Urquhart.
Good morning, Mattie.
I couldn't believe it when you said roof garden. I had no idea it was here. It's amazing.
Surprisingly few people know about it. I like to keep it that way. Good place to get away from the rabble. So, what was it, Mattie?
Well, really, I just wanted to thank you for all your help over the last couple of months. You must be glad they're over.
Well, we've known easier times. And what makes you think the summer's going to be any better for us?
What do you mean?
Can I say something in absolute confidence, Mattie? Not even on lobby terms.
Yes. Yes, of course you can.
I've heard hints that the tabloids are going to mount a personal attack on the PM, a particularly nasty one. They're going to use his brother.
His brother?
Charles Collingridge. Don't you know him? Well, between the two of us, he's a bit of a liability. Alcohol problem, debts everywhere. And when he's had too much to drink, he's not too sure of his sexual orientation. Well, you see the problem. If the PM disowns his brother, he's a heartless bastard. If he stands by him, he's a security risk and God knows what else. That's how they'll play it.
Why are you telling me?
Because I think you're a responsible and honorable journalist. Because I trust you. And, well, because I think we're going to need all the friends we can get.
There isn't any chance he might be involved in something unsavory with his brother, is there?
Oh, no. No, I'm sure there isn't. He's fond of his brother, but he's not a complete fool.
You'd have to say that. You'd have to cover up for him, even if you thought there was something.
Perhaps. But there isn't, is there?
He does seem to need a lot of propping up, Henry Collingridge.
Well, that's all part of my job. And it's all worth it, wouldn't you say?
Well, since you asked, no. Because I happen to think there's at least one man who'd make a much better leader.
You might think that, Mattie. I couldn't possibly comment.